Okay, good morning all. So in the last lecture, we had discussed about WCA. WCA stands for worst case analysis. We had seen basic steps of it and how do you do that. And I told you that you have something called as WCA plus, which is enhanced worst case analysis. It is commonly commonly told as WCA plus. It's defined as enhanced WCA. So in worst case analysis, we had seen that we identify the what to say specifications, and if we will see is if there a possibility of exceeding those specification limits by using different analysis like stress analysis, functional analysis, and then even application analysis. And we identify the particular scenarios where your specifications are not met, and we put an alert on that, and we'll see we get an idea about what might go wrong on that particular system. So that was the idea of worst case analysis, considering the worst case scenario. So that was your worst case analysis. Now we will start with what enhanced WCA is, and we will see what is the difference between WCA and WCA plus. So worst case values identified. So worst case values identified by the analysis may occur so in front. So the point is, why are we doing WCA? The whole idea of WCA is to make sure that these particular issues don't happen, or if there are any issues, or whenever there is a movement from the maximum and minimum limits, there is no big issue with respect to the functionality of the particular system. So that's the idea. Now if you want to make a design changed based on WCA, you also need to know what is the frequency of occurrence of this. Say if you say that out of 1 lakh cases, there is a possibility of going overboard or going into the alert region only once. And if this is a system which is not that real time and that stringent in its requirements, then there's no point in making a design change or bringing in anything additional. So you need certain other information or data before you decide on whether you need something extra in your design, or whether you need some design changes or algorithm changes with respect to your WCA. So WCA just gives you an idea about if the minimum and maximum limits are breached, whether you have the possibility of breaching the minimum and maximum limit. But in order to make that particular breaching avoided, or in order to avoid that particular breaching, we require something to be done or not, is something which is not that particular information or that particular decision cannot be made based on WCA. We need some more information. So there are certain systems which might not require that much amount of issues. That means even if out of the 1 lakh cases, if you have only one particular scenario where this might happen, then there is no point in changing that particular design unless it's that particular thing. So that's the whole idea. So WCA plus gives you that particular information. So in addition to generating the traditional minimum maximum solutions, WCA plus methodology includes the calculation of probabilities and sensitivities, which are used for risk assessment and design optimization. So addition to the possibility of going out of the minimum and maximum limits and saying that there is a possibility and there are allowed scenarios, we also tell about the probability of it. We also tell about the sensitivity of it. We'll see what sensitivity is, but understand that two keywords comes into picture after the minimum maximum solutions by WCA. We also have the calculation of probability and sensitivity, which can be used for risk assessment and design optimization. So based on this particular WCA analysis, you can have a better risk assessment as well as you might optimize your design. So that's the whole idea. It saves you money. It helps you in deciding whether you need to spend more time, more money on changing the design. That particular decision can be made easier if you go for your enhanced WCA. So two keywords which additionally comes into picture is probability and sensitivity. So now, DACI addressed this issue by, DACI was a company which first addressed this issue by developing an enhanced worst case analysis methodology, and this is called as WCA analysis plus or WCA plus. So that's what we are trying to discuss here. So, moving along, so that was your first slide. So you understand about WCA. We understood what is the advantage of WCA plus. It is basically based on 2 points. One is probability, the other one is your sensitivity. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so what is the enhanced WCA tree? So the worst case analysis, you have minimum, average, and maximum, and we will see the breaching of these particular values, the solutions of the variables based on the parameters, based on functional analysis, based on stress analysis, based on your application analysis. We will get the minimum, average, and maximum, and then we will see if these minimum, average, and maximum values go out of the maximum and minimum limits of your particular specification. Now, when it comes to plus, you have two things which are going to be done. One is your risk assessment, the other one is your design optimization. In order to do risk assessment, we consider the probability of the alerts. So you will have certain cases where your minimums and maximums are reached. Is the probability of this particular thing, is the probability of this particular alert scenario huge enough that you need to do a risk assessment? That's the additional thing that comes into picture. Then design optimization, whether you need to move the probability distribution plot, which is also calculated as part of your WCA plus, whether something has to be done with respect to your probability distribution plot or with respect to your sensitivity. How sensitive is this particular scenario with respect to your particular design? So two things which are additionally coming out. One is risk assessment, the other one is design optimization. Risk assessment is based on probability of alert, and design optimization is something which is based on risk assessment is based on probability of alert, and design optimization is basically based on sensitivity. It's again calculated based on probability distribution plot. So keyword is probability. How probable is an alert scenario? That's the whole idea of your enhanced WCA and your WCA plus. So that is being described as part of this particular enhanced WCA tree. So moving along. Okay. So after identifying the minimum and maximum limits of performance, if an out of specification condition is detected, data collected can be used to generate the probability. So what is done? So you have a minimum maximum limit. You have lots of solutions. After your WCA, you know if there is a possibility of this particular limits being breached. Do you have an alert scenario? That particular information is obtained from after your WCA. So if you use that particular data to plot a probability curve, so if you can look into this particular graph, see these are your limits. This is your minimum limit and this is your maximum limit. The specification after the, you have specifications, and after the specifications, considering all the other factors, what is the maximum limit that your particular value, X value or Y value of your particular system can take? That might be a gain, that might be a bandwidth, that might be frequency response, that might be whatever, based on the system that you are trying to analyze, noise margin, whatever. So whether your particular thing is coming in between this, that is being analyzed as part of your WCA. Now we add the probability part when it comes to enhanced WCA. So you have a probability curve which is coming like this. Automatically it will be in a parabolic form. Probability distribution will be in a parabolic form. It is based on the theories of probability. The area of this will be 1, and we will see, the whole point here is the height height determines the maximum probability, and so this has the maximum probability. So this is the value which is most probable to occur, and as you go down, the probability decreases, and as you reach this, the probability is drastically getting reduced. So uh, this is the range of solutions which you get out of the equations that you have formed, and the probability of getting this particular solutions is measured, and height of this particular graph gives you the probability value. The whole area of this particular graph is 1. So we will see what are the possibility, or what is the mathematical number, which or percentage, what is the percentage of test case scenarios or values which goes out of your maximum and minimum limit. So this is something which is calculator, which is done when it comes to your enhanced WCA. You have a maximum and minimum limit. You have a probability curve which comes into picture. So based on the data of your probability curve, you will be able to make more informed decisions. So that is what your enhanced WCA is. Again, you do it. So in the example above, the excess mark the probability distribution as the equation solution varies from minimum to maximum value. Height of the distribution indicates the probability of the solution. Total area of probability distribution equals 1. Total area outside the specification markers. That means the total area which comes outside the specification markers. These are your limits, maximum. But the area that comes outside your specification markers. The total area outside the specification markers equal to the fraction of time that equation solution will not be seen. So this will give you an idea about how much amount of time this particular solution might go outside outside your particular outside your particular value of the requirement. Okay. Then so that is what you get. Okay, probability distribution. What is the information that the probability distribution plot provides? Design and quality managers an effective tool for risk assessment and design sampling. Design sampling is basically something associated with your optimization of your design. So this is what you get out of doing your enhanced WCA. So probability and sensitivity is the key word. Risk assessment and design centering, or what is it? Design centering basically implies optimization of design. Is what tools that you use. The enhanced WCA will aid the tools of risk assessment and design centering. So that's the whole idea of your enhanced WCA. This slide is not okay. So what do you mean by design centering? Design centering is facilitated by the identification which have the greatest effect on the design, commonly referred to as. Here, design centering is something which is associated with sensitivity analysis. And what do you mean by sensitivity? Your design might have n number of okay, I will just pause. There are certain students who are not able to join it. I will just pause and see if something can be done. Okay, so we'll again start off. So we were speaking about design centering. So see, when you are trying to design something, there are certain parameters which are very sensitive. So for example, for a moisture sensor, water-based resistivity is something which is very critical. Then if you are having a temperature sensor, the sensitivity of the thing to the temperature will be very very critical. So there is something called as sensitivity analysis. It basically identifies the parameters which has the greatest effect on the design. So there are certain parameters which will have a higher effect on the design. This is called as this is something which is associated with sensitivity analysis, and Design centering is facilitated by identifying this parameter. So centering can be done if you identify the parameters which are very sensitive. So accordingly, you can move. For example, in the previous case, the probability is basically shifted. The graph is shifted towards the left. So you can see you have a left shift. If you had centered this, if you had optimized your design in such a way that your equations are in such a way that the solutions are having the average value at the correct center and the whole probability setup goes into the center part, then it is an ideal design. That means your possibility of going out of this particular minimum and maximum limit is very minimal with respect to probability. So that's the idea. So that is what you mean by design centering, which is done usually by your design optimization. Again, the probabilities were identified based on your worst case analysis. The sensitivities can also be efficiently generated during your worst case analysis. Sensitivities allow the designer to optimize the design by adjusting the more significant variables and direction which shift the designs. So the idea here is you have a certain equation. We'll see the examples. You have a certain equations which will change the value of your particular solution. In the equation, you have parameters which will change the value of your particular solution. So you need to identify those particular variables, parameters, and sensitivity of that particular variable. If you identify sensitivity of the variable, you'll be able to make the corresponding change and shift the whole probability graph to a centered position. So that's the idea here. So sensitivity helps you in that. Sensitivity makes you understand what is the relationship between the parameters and the solutions. Okay. So sensitivity allows the designer to optimize the design by adjusting the more significant variables in the direction which shift the design center in the desired direction. Okay. In the distribution above, center of the range of solution is the left of the optimum. I have already told that. So what you ideally want is to shift it to the center. So this is more centered. So this can be done by doing a design optimization by identifying the sensitivities of the different parameters. Okay, so the different parameters which are affecting your particular solution can be identified, sensitivity of it can be identified, and based on that you can shift it. You can shift your particular probability curve by identifying this particular sensitivity of parameters. So that's the idea of centered probability distribution plot. So this is when you make the optimization and move the particular thing to the center point of your minimum and maximum limits. Okay, so this is a more ideal solution which can be done based on your enhanced WCA. So that's the whole idea of your enhanced WCA. Okay, so enhanced worst case analysis combines the traditional benefits of WCA with the added benefit of probability and sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity and probability. Powerful design validation methodology which gives optimized and highly reliable designs. So it's basically optimized and highly reliable. So this is with respect to enhanced WCA. Now, what are the steps of? I will stop with this. The rest we will take in the next class. I will just tell you what are the steps. We'll just brief you through the steps, and we'll restart with the steps in the next class. So to perform it again with respect to syllabus, they have just given enhanced WCA. So most probably you might not require it, but I find that learning this is quite interesting, and there's no, I mean, there is nowhere in the syllabus it is told that you need not learn this. But just given the keyword as enhanced WCA plus, they haven't mentioned if you need to completely learn how do you do this particular analysis. But again, this is something which is fruitful. This seems to be something which you should be knowing. So that's why I have taken this particular part of your particular textbook. Okay, so here there are 10 steps. First one is define the analysis requirements, establish the derating factors. We'll see what those derating factors are. These are basically factors which are more oriented to identifying the minimum and maximum, determine the global parameters, develop the design equations, identify the worst case solutions. Under this, all these are WC. So under this step sits determine the margins are determining the margins are WCA. Then alerts. So give the alert is the only thing that is left for WCA. But when it comes to enhanced WCA, calculate alert probabilities of occurrences. Here you just tell that this is the maximum and minimum limit of the solutions, and you have certain points, certain parameters. When you change it above this, we'll have an alert scenario. That's the thing after your worst case, determining the margins. Okay, so that is done. Your WCA is done. But after this, all these from 7, 8, 9, and 10, all the steps are associated with enhanced WCA. That is alert probabilities of occurrences, reconciliation and feedback, risk assessment, optimization. All these comes under your enhanced WCA or WCA plus. So we will see each of these steps in the next class. So I will stop it here. Now, regarding the assignment, so I will be giving you your assignment 2. I given you the dates and I have put it in the chat window. So it will be basically based on your module 4. So as I told you, you will require 3 outputs. Basically 3 outputs out of it. So I will divide you into groups of 2. Each one has to do some part of it. So in written thing, you have 2 things which are to be written. One is the notes of this particular topic, and second one is answer to the questions which are asked as part of your university or series. All the questions has to be answered from your particular part. So that is your written assignment. It has to be written. It cannot be typed. You can upload it if there are no classes, and we are not expecting classes even after 14. So you can you can send it as scanned copies through mail, through Google Classroom, or even through WhatsApp. Everything is fine with me. And that's one part of it. Second part, you will need to prepare a presentation that has to be divided into 2. So the first part, again, you can divide among yourself. Who will be writing your question answers? Who will be writing your notes? One can write the notes. The other one can write the question answers. That's fine with me. That's okay. And then you will have presentations which are to be done based on the corresponding topic. And those presentations again will have to be divided into 2 parts. Or 2 people will have to divide it. The whole presentation has to be divided into 2 parts. You will have PPT with audio, half done by one person, the next half done by the other person. So I will identify the topics to each of you. So whole module 4 will be done through this particular method, and I might ask you to even take a class in Canvas if time permits. So this will be the mode of your assignment 2, as well as for your this thing. So I want all these particular things to be done by thing I have given next Friday. So you have the textbooks, it's Android and other things. You can go through the net and understand how it works and all, and then try to submit the assignments. And if you have any doubts, anything which you want to clarify, you can always get back to me. Okay. Hope everybody is doing good with respect to health. And I have recorded this particular session, so I will give you the link once I have converted it into a video format, which you can access. So that's it. Thank you for your hearing, and if you have any doubts and if you want any topics to be clarified, anything to be taken, can either tell it us in your public chat or in your private chat. I will be available for in this particular conference for half an hour more. After that, you can use your WhatsApp for communications. Okay, thank you.